Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another edition of Media Watch. It's Rob Raffelli, and my name is Bob Lovgren. As we usually talk about here, we got a lot of stuff in the news. Essentially, we try to focus in on media itself, what they're talking about, and quite honestly, it works both ways with Fox and MSNBC and CNN and that sort of thing. The news is over as far as being, the Walter Cronkite days are over. Now it's everybody has an object, and in fact, a lot of these news people, my opinion, when these people that are doing these shows and so on, well, that's not news anymore. Now that's your opinion. And like I say, Fox does it, and they all do it, and so on. And by the way, thank God for Thank God for Fox and Fox News. Lucky we have it, but because it's a real balance. At any rate, Rob is going to kind of do the show tonight a little bit. He has his subject area. I've had some other things on my mind I couldn't worry about. So let's get started.
Sure.
Rob?
Yeah, I wanted to talk about a lot of things, but something that we like to do is not only what's in the news, but also what the news, how they do it, or what they neglect. So, for instance, there's another
edit. What they edit too.
Yes, and what they edit, what they leave out. After all, what you leave out is just as important.
Exactly.
So there's a news service called Breitbart News. It was started by Andrew Breitbart, who died much too young.
Yeah.
And Breitbart has funded, and in fact they crowdfunded, a movie called My Son Hunter, and it's because
being the son of the president. That's the Hunter we're talking about.
It's about
everybody didn't know.
Correct. Yeah. It's about Hunter Biden and the various things that he's done, and for me, one thing that this is we're ripe about here is that there's a matter of how much and how it gets reported. Now, I happen to remember, as maybe some of you do and some of you don't, that on Joe Biden's first trip to China on Air Force Two as Barack Obama's vice president, that he took Hunter with him. And Hunter came back with a deal with some Chinese firms that was worth $1.5 billion.
$1.5 billion, right.
$1.5 billion with a B.
And well, if you took that in hundreds, and that'd be pretty tough to get on even Air Force One.
At any rate, he
he didn't take it with him, but he had it.
Typically, Hunter had nothing in terms of big skills or or deep knowledge. What he had was a father who was vice president.
Yeah.
And
can you imagine what it is now that he's president of the United States? Holy moly! God knows what he's getting away with right now as we speak.
No,
go ahead.
I tend to think of Hunter as, I don't know, maybe he's not terribly skilled, or maybe he's very skilled in what he does.
Yeah.
But he's also weak in terms of glomming onto addictive substances, abusive behaviors.
Right.
And I would have thought that Joe Biden would have been unelectable simply because we have the current president, Joe Biden, on video bragging about how he used the United States government's money to get the then president of Ukraine to fire a prosecutor who was investigating investigating an energy company that Hunter was part of.
And that was as vice president.
Right.
You can imagine what he does is he picks up the phone and just tells the guy, "Hey, lay off, or you're gonna forget about your latest shells about something like that." Go ahead.
Yeah, you know those armored personnel carriers we're sending?
Yeah.
We're not sending them.
Yeah, no gas.
Could be all sorts of things.
Yeah.
Anyway, so now Breitbart has put together. I'm gonna find a picture for this, but they've put together a movie. It's called My Son Hunter, and I understand it's actually done in a rather humane way. I don't know. I just got hold of the movie and I haven't watched it yet.
Yeah.
But it's actually had several million views already.
Oh yeah,
I'll
bet.
And it's been reviewed fairly favorably by people who've watched it. By people who haven't watched it, but are big Biden cheerleaders.
Yeah. When did they come out? Recently?
About a week ago.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, about the 7th.
Yeah.
So, and today is the 15th of
Yeah.
September for those who have calendars.
Yeah.
Let me see how quickly I can find my. There we go.
Okay, there you go.
This is
My
this
son
is three copies of the poster introducing my son Hunter.
Yeah.
They went more for well, that's actually kind of what he looks like, except he's not so green.
Yeah.
The
Pretty hard to tell. Green has got these big sunglasses on, or whatever those glasses are.
yeah, and what we have reflecting there is in the one eyepiece we see a reflection of his father, and the other eyepiece we see a
I
reflection
didn't
of,
see that. Yeah.
of
Okay. I didn't see that. Okay.
of a big old pile of money.
Yeah.
Anyway,
No, I'm just stop for a minute. Just,
Sure.
you know, I kind of feel sorry for Joe Biden because he lost his wife and his daughter, and they still had two sons, Bo and Hunter. And he was just starting to be senator from Delaware when that happened. It was a few days or something like this before he went, went into the Senate, and so on. And then, of course, his son Bo died of cancer.
right?
And now he's got this other son and so on. That's at best a hangers-on, looking for the making money. The old Billy Beer. Remember that? When
I do. You mean Billy Carter,
Yeah.
who was President Jimmy Carter's brother.
Yeah.
And I was sympathetic, even though I didn't really like Jimmy all that much, although he was a fairly sharp guy.
Yeah.
But someone questioning him about some of the stuff that Billy was doing, and it was pretty out
not,
there.
Not like this.
No, but Jimmy Carter said,
Okay.
I don't tell Billy what to do, and he don't tell me what to do.
Right. Exactly.
Now, interesting thing about Hunter, though, is that we have emails of Hunter's where he's complaining about the big guy always getting his 10%, and the big
Complaining
about it, right? And that's because the big guy, of course, is his father,
Right.
Joe Biden.
Of course.
And of
He
course,
was complaining that they had to give 10% to his father.
it's a
for the
little
big
odd
guy?
because when you think about it, he was selling influence and access. I think he was I have to say allegedly because I don't know and I have not conducted an investigation.
Yeah.
But it looked to me like, to the extent that he was complaining, I was thinking, you're complaining about having to pay out 10% on something that would not occur if that wasn't your father.
Yeah.
So I would complain a little less, but
Right. Giving up 10% of it is nothing. He was a holy mackerel.
yeah.
God knows what it is.
Anyway,
What do you think's going to? I'll turn you off a little on this, but what do you think's going to happen when not if, but when the Republicans take over the House, and all this Hunter stuff has been buried? I think you're going to talk about it here, Hunter and the FBI burying stuff and so on.
Oh,
It's all that stuff and so on. I would guess that they're going to, this guy Jordan from Ohio, is it? Yeah, like Jim Jordan.
I think so.
I mean, he can just rake you over the coals like crazy in that. Would that really do any good for the Republicans? Let's just forget about Hunter Biden.
Well,
I'm not saying. I would say that's kind of the advice I would give to Republicans at this point in time. But of course, it may not happen.
I'm not sure how to advise them because I'm not all that politically sophisticated.
Yeah.
But I would think.
No, I don't think that's
here's my thought is that if you can show that a large contingent of Democrats have known all about the corruption and in fact been on board for burying the evidence, then it speaks to a level of corruption that should, at least, if it doesn't enhance the Republicans' chances, and I don't see how it wouldn't, it would at least decrease the Democrats' chances. If you can say, look, here are all these people who were reported to the White House and they knew, then I'd say,
Yeah.
that starts to look like a bunch of people that you don't want to keep handing more power and money to.
I think I got a time confused here. I didn't mean before the election. I mean after it happens.
Oh, okay, yeah.
After
okay,
it happens and that, then just let me finish. That after it happens and so on. Again, we had that January 6th business and so on, and oh man, they beat it to death, and they've interviewed a million guys. And then what's his name? when they had Trump at the beginning of that 2.5 years of investigating him and all that. It was every day was Don Lemon.
Yeah, the Mueller.
Name I even have to say, but
Well, what I'm seeing so often, and I don't want to sell too much on the Hunter or anything else.
yeah,
And you're right that we have to determine what is a good way for Republicans to go forward.
yeah,
But what was infuriating, remember you were talking about how today a lot of folks in what's supposed to be news stations are telling you essentially their opinion. It looks like so-and-so has done this, and I keep thinking, you have tens of millions of dollars worth of budget to go out there and investigate stuff and report. Why
Yeah.
don't you go find me some facts?
yeah, right, exactly.
And lay some facts on me that you can stand for because you know when you went and found out, and then you got a second and a third source, which is the way, if I understand correctly from the dim reaches of my youth, that's kind of the way investigative reporting was supposed to work.
Yeah.
You know, I recall.
And where it came out, you know, like
Yeah.
like you know, what's the name? All the King's Men, or what was it for
Woodward and Bernstein.
yeah, Woodward and Bernstein.
For going after
There were the
Nixon?
facts. That's
Right.
You couldn't deny him.
Yeah, there was some interpretation that I thought was hinky, but nonetheless, they had some facts.
Yeah, right.
And of course they
That's what
also
good
had,
investigative reporter should be. You know, get the facts.
Yeah.
That you know, even if it doesn't fit, just quite as I said before, and I told you earlier today, that it's the truth, and then there's the facts that are going to fit on the truth, like a bed. But the facts that you don't quite measure up to your truth, you cut those facts off.
Yeah, or gee, those facts might make people ask questions
Yeah.
that I don't want to answer.
Right, or act the wrong. The answer, I can't give the wrong answer on something like that. Anyway, and it works both ways. It does.
Sure.
It definitely does for the
I know.
Republicans and the Democrats.
Republicans are fully human and capable of. In fact, I'm not sure if I've got a picture handy for this yet.
I think
but,
the Democrats are a little bit more at it than
let
the
me-
Republicans.
Let
that's
me
for
mention,
sure.
there's a group of, let's call them Republicans. It's called the Lincoln Project, and they have been
okay. I think
utterly, viciously anti-Trump from day one.
Yeah.
And they're still publishing stuff like they had a.
Yeah, they're still after Donald Trump. It's amazing.
It's going beyond. Here's the thing I wanted to suggest. I saw their poster. They had a poster of. It was the faces of a number of Republican governors who were at least willing to investigate the 2020 election to see how it had gone. And I don't really feel, whether I win or I lose, I don't feel like investigating an election is a bad thing, because what I want more than anything else out of that stuff is honest elections. So, but anyway, they were saying, these people questioned the election, remember them, make sure they never serve. And it's one of these cases again of convicting someone without facts.
Yeah.
You say, I questioned the election, but I say, you know, what kind of records you got? If you show me the record, you say, oh, look at that, clean, nice election.
Like
The
I say,
question is fine.
I've said about mail-in ballots. I think that's an invitation to fraud. It's flat out invitation to fraud, and the end of the secret ballot too. You get an envelope with your ballot in it, has your name, a barcode, and you have to sign it on the envelope when you put that ballot in. So the information is not on the ballot, but it says that you sent that this is your ballot.
Mm-hmm.
So if Bob Lovegreen we'll put that over here someplace or something like that. And quite honestly, let's face it, elections are very messy. They always have been. God knows that back in the early 1800s when they were voting in New York City and so on, the polling place was in a bar. That's where you cast your vote. And then you got a free food and all you could drink, maybe before you even filled out your ballot, so to speak. Yeah, there's democracy is very messy. What is it that Churchill said?
It's a terrible system, but except that the others were all worse.
Yeah, all worse, right. I can say that. Then it's the one guy that's like the Putin and now, but Stalin, Hitler, Mussolini, and the list goes on and on. The czars and the Caesars and all that. They told you what to do. There was no voting in that.
Well,
That's a system you want. But like I said, Germans had it really nice in the 1930s, up until the kind of the war, even into the war and so on. Yeah, they had a job, they were working okay, and so on. They came last night with this black sedan, and they took my neighbor out, and I've never seen him again, and so on. Yeah, but that's not me.
Yeah, but it's a leading indicator that's
Yeah,
bad.
it's an indicator, right? Exactly. I got you off the subject in that, but
Yes, you did.
where were we going with this?
You know,
You want to show the movie? Yeah, you're going to show the movie, I guess.
well, the movie itself, I'm not even going to show the trailer, but I just downloaded the movie and it's an hour and 38 minutes.
Yeah, we're not going to put
So
that on.
obviously we're not going to be doing that.
Yeah.
But I'm going to. By the way, this is one I wish I had a shirt that said this, but please stand by. Oh, this is something I wanted to mention, and since it's along the way, I'm going to show it. This was on. Okay, this is a movie starring Sylvester Stallone.
That's similar. Oh my God.
By the way, Sylvester Stallone is 75.
Okay.
So for a 75-year-old, he appeared relatively tough.
Yeah, I guess.
I wouldn't take a poke at him quite yet,
Exactly.
even though I am a little younger. So anyway, this was sort of a very light but superhero movie, which he's portraying a superhero who was supposedly killed 25 years before.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, it was, for all that it was not the deepest of entertainment, it had a very nice twist, and the characterizations were good. I was very happy that I saw it. It was on Amazon Prime, and since if you happen to have an Amazon Prime membership, just because you like getting your free shipping,
Yeah.
it also gets you access to a bunch of movies and
Okay.
made for Amazon stuff.
Yeah.
So I'm actually going to recommend Samaritan, not to be mistaken for the Astro City character named Samaritan, but which I also like.
Yeah, it's amazing. This guy's, oh my God, he's aged. But I guess, as you say, he's still doing movies. Of course,
He is 75.
Clint Eastwood's still doing romantic movies
I know.
and so on.
The last one of his that I saw was Gran Torino. And,
Yeah, right. Yeah,
And I thought actually that was very good. And
Oh,
for
yeah.
all that he played an old prejudiced guy, he was not glorifying the prejudice. He showed some of where it came from, and he also showed the
Yeah.
old prejudiced guy learning better
Yeah.
and getting over some of the stuff that he shouldn't
And
have to start
did he
with.
have a romantic lead too, or something?
No, he was.
There was no girlfriend in the
Sufficiently. No, there were. Yeah, there was somebody who was somebody else's girlfriend, and he was nowhere. He was not looking to take her away.
Yeah,
from
right.
her. No, he was just the really crotchety old guy in a Detroit
Yeah.
suburb. But yeah, I don't think he's doing a lot of romantic lead stuff now. But he still likes to make the movies. They still
Yeah.
let me make them.
No, I think about it. I haven't really seen him in a romantic movie, other than that he had that one girlfriend that he made I think a lot of the movies with.
Sandra Locke.
Yeah,
she
Sandra
was.
Locke, yeah.
Yeah, she was in a bunch of movies, and of course, then she later sued for palimony.
Is that right?
I don't know how that worked out.
Yeah.
But nobody's
Anyway.
suing me for palimony, possibly because they realize I don't have it.
Okay.
Oh, okay. Actually, there's some stuff. This is. I wanted to talk about this and a couple other things because okay, I happened. This guy goes by the name of. He goes by Joker, and what he was pointing out was that this is a case of bribery in the media, where Meta, as you probably know, is
Facebook.
It's the new name for Facebook or for the ownership of Facebook, and there's an online service which I have never bothered with, but apparently we like to clean up the language here. There are a lot of beautiful young women who make spicy content that you can subscribe to and then pay extra money for them to chat with you online or send you still spicier photos so you can pretend that this person gives a rap whether you draw breath.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, so that site is called OnlyFans. And this is the beauty. OnlyFans was trying to eliminate their competition. So they were, now as it turns out, there are a bunch of porn stars who have they have Facebook pages promoting themselves and so on, and OnlyFans regards that as competition, which they do not care for.
Yeah.
So they bribed Meta to put thousands of those porn stars on a terror watch list. Or at least I should say.
Okay, now
I'm saying they did it, but I don't.
I didn't know all this. There was a company or something called OnlyFans.
The company is OnlyFans.
Now I get it.
And at least the porn stars who have gotten together and are suing Meta and OnlyFans because they claim that they just went ahead and put them on a terror watch list so that their page went away. You know, that page that was competing with OnlyFans?
Yeah.
It went away. So
well, that's the breaks. Who's this guy? Better Bachelor.
Better Bachelor is the that's the name.
Same guy as this guy?
Yeah, that's the name.
Same guy. Okay.
Yeah, that's Joker's page. He's
okay, I didn't see that.
Basically, he talks about dating issues, and he's definitely not anti-woman or anti-dating or any of that stuff. He just is warning men to be careful, and he often speaks from the point of view of the guys who have lost everything in divorce.
Yeah.
Who write to him and tell him their horror stories.
Does he have a pretty good following?
He does pretty well.
Yeah.
The
great thing about the internet, boy. You can make money on little cracks like this. You can.
There are a bunch of guys that I've only learned about in the last year who apparently they developed enough of a following. It was only 2 years ago when you found out who Joe Rogan is.
Yeah, that's right.
And Joe Rogan
all of a sudden
is he's raking in hundreds of millions of dollars.
Yeah.
Through Spotify and his podcast, and he's on YouTube and everything else. And I didn't even know what a concept. First of all, he was a pretty good MMA fighter. Of course, I don't care about mixed martial arts and their fighters, so I didn't follow it.
Right. Yeah.
I
think I heard that, but go ahead.
But he's a good talker. He's a good host.
Yeah.
And intriguingly enough, there's apparently a hunger for this. He's good at the long form interview. So let's say, unlike an O'Reilly or anybody with a TV show, they're saying, "Yeah, well, we're all out of time now. Say the name of the book."
Yeah.
But Rogan will do interviews that go 2 to 3 hours.
Yeah, really.
But the thing is,
wow.
If somebody has a lot to say, and
a lot of people do,
or they have something that's controversial,
yeah,
you're not cut off with the no. Please tell me more. And he'll ask questions that help them elaborate, and he'll also ask hard questions where you say, look, if you're going to come on a 2 or 3 hour show and you can't handle this question, you're probably not ready for prime time.
And when you say long form interview, so I was thinking then that what it could mean is that it also allows the guest, when you ask him a question or her a question, she gets to answer the question without you interrupting her, which is what Hannity does, and they all do it.
Exactly. It was one of the things that I sort of
liked. And they interview when their time is up. When their 5 minutes is up, that's it.
Well, I sort of liked Bill O'Reilly, but he was getting these important movers and shakers. I mean, some of them I didn't like at all, but I wanted to know what they had to say for themselves.
Yeah.
And some of them I did like.
Yeah.
And I wanted to know what they had to say for themselves. And here he is, they've got half a sentence out, and he's trying to knock it down. And I think, let the person talk. I will never find out what I think of what they have to say if I don't hear them say it.
Right, I want to answer, that's it. And a lot of times they'll ask a question, again, it's all the networks, and then they'll answer their own question. Then the camera goes to the person that's supposed to be talking, and he's kind of nodding his head, or she's nodding her head, and so on. And you don't get to really get an answer. Maybe one shot, that's it.
Exactly, and I'm looking at this and saying, wait a second. That's the newsmaker.
Yeah, not yours.
I want to hear from the senator now.
Yeah, right.
After all, I have to decide whether to vote to re-elect the senator or vote for the senator's opposition.
Yeah.
So I'd like to hear the senator.
Yeah.
Anyway, I've been watching people. I've been catching some of Joker. There was a guy who called himself Black Pigeon. He was knocked off, and he's back.
Why was he knocked off?
Probably politically incorrect, but they don't tell you.
Yeah.
They'll just say, you violated our guidelines. you're thinking, what? What did I do? What did I say that violated your guidelines?
I think I showed you that one time. I got knocked off of Craigslist one time, and the whole list, there was like a huge list of things and so on, all of them which I hadn't really done when I put the ad in, but it's about the interpretation.
I looked at that.
It's really not that explanatory, you're right.
Yeah, no, I was trying desperately to find something in your ad that violated any kind of terms of service, and finally we said,
well, we figured it out.
Put it in again.
Figured it out that they just didn't like me and that, and they just
Somebody
you don't even have to state a thing. You just say you're complaining about the ad, period, and then they just pull it down and figure, well, and what happened was I just took that ad down and put the new one up, and boom, it was okay.
Yeah. So, by the way, that strikes me as one of the most cowardly things. Someone complained and we took it off. You mean you didn't even look to see if the complaint was true?
Yeah, what was it? You quoted something we had violated. What exactly what was that?
Yeah.
Anyway, that's a different story.
All right, here's another sort of falsification. Now, this is a character who currently has a Marvel Disney show about her. This is the She-Hulk, aka She-Hulk Attorney at Law. This is
her right here?
This is her, the green gal.
Yeah, okay.
Bruce,
is she green like that? Really? No, okay.
Bruce Banner, the Hulk, had a cousin, Jennifer Walters. They were in some kind of accident. He needed to give her a transfusion, and apparently something about his good old Hulk blood gave her, she becomes Hulk-like at times, except she seems to retain her full intelligence, which is all very nice. And actually the character's been around for a few decades, been varied a bit, but mostly pretty good character, pretty heroic, fun, a lot of good interaction with other characters. She's been in the Avengers at times. At any rate, the little bit that I've seen of the She-Hulk Marvel Disney show, they make her kind of insufferable. What do you know? She's better than the Hulk, and she's better than Bruce Banner at everything.
Yeah.
Everything.
So why do you say insufferable? What?
Well, I'm better than you at everything too. Isn't that kind of annoying? Well, anyway.
Oh.
In this case, for instance, the Hulk originally was a rage monster. Yeah. Congratulations, you're just about the strongest thing on earth, and your temper is getting the better of you all the time.
Yeah.
To the point where it almost wipes out your intellect. And so so as the Hulk now with a She-Hulk cousin, he's telling her, let's work on controlling your anger, and she explains to him I could call this fem-splaining, because this is her talking down from her lofty position as a woman, that she says, "Oh, I'm much better than you at controlling my anger, because I have to put up with catcalls and men explaining things to me that I already know." And I thought, wow, it's not that those things aren't annoying, or that women should have to put up with it, but the Hulk's rage problem destroyed Bruce Banner's life for over a decade. Cut him a little slack. So, but here's what's going on with the show. This is why I wanted to bring this up for the dishonesty, is that there's a review site you almost certainly know about. It's called Rotten Tomatoes, and it carries a lot of reviews of TV and of film, and there are both fan reviews and there are critics reviews. Well, as it turns out, Rotten Tomatoes was deleting a bunch of negative reviews. So there were fans who were leaving negative reviews because they didn't like it, and I figured, and of course everybody who likes it is free to leave their positive or glowing review, but they were deleting reviews that showed it in a poor light. This is where, see, if these sites aren't going to be honest, then I don't see why I should look at them. There was almost certainly there were some people who just gave the show a pasting just because they had a bug under their hat. I don't know. But the thing
Well,
is,
that's
there
the,
were also people.
unfortunately, that's the problem. But at the same time, the beauty of internet and so on, people can express their opinion. As I always say, you have the right of free speech, but I have the right of free listening.
Right.
I don't
or
have to
not.
listen to what it was, which is what you're indicating here, basically.
Right. And
Long as free speech goes, I don't care what you're saying.
so, in fact, there's a term for when people leave gratuitous bad reviews. It's called review bombing. But there's the flip side of that is that there's also phony accounts and people who just write the most glowing review. So that's why.
Yeah.
That's why when we commented on this, it was bestest show ever.
Yeah.
Now, when every Disney show gets best ever,
Yeah.
you start saying, maybe they're not all the best ever.
Yeah.
Just I'm a skeptic.
Yeah,
And-
well, that's like I say. That again, that's your privilege to do that.
Yeah.
So on, and not watch it or watch it how you want.
I
But
hope
it does
that-
it. But again, the internet has all the stuff that people do watch now that would never have gotten on
Yes.
big networks and stuff like that.
I agree. And Disney has a Disney and a Disney Plus channel.
Yeah.
And it now owns most of the Marvel properties.
Yeah,
And it owns a lot of properties.
yeah.
So they're saying, well,
And they got something like 200 million viewers.
they got a lot of viewers.
Yeah.
Anyway, I am not. I'm not gunning for the She-Hulk. I'm hoping that it will turn out to be pretty good.
Yeah.
For one thing, it's guesting, or I should say, it's featuring as associated characters some characters that I'm also interested in seeing.
Yeah.
I think they're doing an arc now about another. Okay,
Of course, you can always turn it off. This will be on the internet, right?
Yeah. Well,
You can always turn it off if you don't like it.
I think
I like that. When you pay $9 or something like that to go in a movie, you basically have to sit in the seat and watch the whole movie because you got $9 committed here and so on and so on. Whereas anything like this, click, you go on to the next one.
Well, actually,
Well,
this
I've done
stuff
it
is
many times. In fact, go ahead.
this is on Disney Plus, so you have to be a Disney Plus subscriber. But a lot of people subscribe to Disney Plus, and this isn't the only thing they get. So they still have, as you say, they have a lot of choice. And I was just going to comment that there are characters also from the Marvel Universe who I am interested in, who are turning up on this show. So I'm hoping that between maybe improving the writing and having, I'm hoping to find. Let me see if I can quickly get to. There's the writer. Oh no! No! Oh,
There's a guy I like.
yeah, but unfortunately, if I'm in that and I happen to run across. Alrighty.
Take your time.
Anyway, what I
We
was
got a lot of
gonna-
time, don't we, folks? Yeah, we got time.
there's a what I'm looking for is the writer. I may not find her right now, but the interesting thing about her is that basically she puts a lot of her personality
Yeah.
into the She-Hulk. So actually, why don't I
She-Hulk.
She-Hulk? There's the Hulk and there's the She-Hulk.
She-Hulk. She-Hulk. Okay, I got it.
Yeah.
Now I got it.
Ah, you got it. All right. Actually, here's something.
I didn't know the Hulk was even still around, but I guess he's still a big guy.
Where is my? Here we go. There's somebody. This is this again. This is media sliding into games, sliding into popular culture, and so what this is from is there's a Spider-Man game, and so one plays it on, I don't know, some game console or other, and here on this side is the original. This is how and so Spider-Man is swinging through this alley. But as you go by, in the original unmodified game, you can see that there's the rainbow-colored pride flag.
Mm-hmm.
Someone bootlegged and hacked it and replaced the pride flag with Old Glory, with the American flag.
Yeah, right.
So, and someone who has seen the modified or hacked game said, somebody made a mod on Spider-Man PC to turn the game homophobic. It might be
Wait
a
a minute,
shame.
This
was-
is the homophobic part. Isn't
No,
it?
no.
No.
This
Okay.
was the original.
To be homophobic.
Okay, no,
Okay, I get it.
the original had the pride flag in it,
Yeah.
and so they're regarding the deletion of the pride flag
It's homophobic.
as homophobic.
Yeah.
So
Maybe it was.
maybe it was. I have a sort
They
of
didn't like this flag being there. They would rather have the American. But then again, what's the story here? Is it about this flag? No, it's not. Of course.
no.
It's a movie about something else. But this had to get into it somehow.
It's completely, yeah, exactly. The creators of the game, the story is not about the pride flag, but
Yeah.
the creators of the game decided to include it, and I don't bother to either applaud or jeer. It's fine with me.
Yeah.
Thing is, but somebody, for all I know, he might have been laughing, or she might have been laughing
Yeah.
about, haha, I'll replace that with Old Glory, or
Yeah.
maybe they hate them. I don't know, but at any rate, I was thinking of the various tragedies in life. A Spider-Man game with the wrong flag doesn't register very hard for me.
Yeah, right.
So I'm trying to think of, let's say some gay people wanted to play this, as I suppose that everybody likes to play it,
Yeah.
and they don't see the pride flag. First of all, they may not
Why
have
did they
even
put that flag in the first place?
I don't know. Maybe they were signifying that they are down with the cause.
Yeah.
But at any rate, I was trying to think about how hurt are you, and of course, as I am not them, I can't judge how hurt they are.
Yeah.
But if you're going to be hurt by that sort of thing, you're probably going to be walking around hurt the entire time, and it's not a
Yeah.
very pleasant life. So I noticed. This is just an aside, and it's not all about me. But the world has not been designed to make me comfortable either.
Yeah. I kind of like that flag actually. It's kind of very very colorful. What the heck? Whatever it represents.
The rainbow flag is a pretty flag.
Yeah.
And,
And just speaking of flags, this is the flag that I would like to introduce that subject. In fact, right here, this flag is a very unusual flag. You look at flags, get a big of flags and so on.
Mhm.
That flag represents a nation, right?
right?
This flag represents our nation the way it is. It started out as 13 colonies, and now it's 50 states.
Right.
50 United States. This is one line that I've heard many times before. It says, we are not the United States is, we are the United States are. And if you keep that in mind, you understand a lot of what's going on. For example, the governor of Texas can load a bus up with migrants and drop them off in New York City. That's what that flag represents. States' rights.
Yeah.
Anyway,
I
I think they get off the subject of
all right,
this whole
but
thing.
as long as we're there, a key observation about the formation of the United States is that the individual states that came together and formed a federal government
Right.
did not destroy their own governments or consider themselves to be abolished.
Right. They weren't going to.
No, they were. And that's why each one, as you hear them announce, and from the great state of New Hampshire.
Yeah, right.
So, and they're required to respect each other,
Right.
at least, or at least pretend to. Okay.
Moving on.
We're going to pop back to Hunter Biden for a moment because I just wanted people to be aware that the Washington Post and the New York Times, both of whom tried to bury this story and called the Hunter Biden laptop Russian misinformation. And by the way, 50 security experts, none of whom looked at the laptop, said that it was misinformation as well. Anyway,
Yeah.
the Washington Post and the New York Times have gotten around to admitting that the laptop is genuine and the information on
Right.
it is authentic.
Right, exactly.
But in 2020, before the election, they buried the story.
Yeah, before the election
Because after
happened,
all,
right? Yeah.
they already knew who they wanted to win,
Yeah.
and this would not have helped that happen. All right, here's this is one of the things we definitely need to talk about: threats to democracy. Threats to democracy. Now, as we know, democracy does not occur in our founding documents. That word is not there.
Yeah, right. Republic is,
Republic is.
which is there's a big difference.
One of the things I like to ask is, why would I want a democracy? I'm saying don't make too many assumptions. The only thing that I'm hoping that the democracy will do is somehow operate to secure
Me.
to secure my rights, your rights, secure the rights of the people, and
Yeah.
we want them to secure our rights and our safety. If it doesn't do that, then I don't know what it's for. Like when I was like in the 3rd grade, and kids would fling words around at each other, and they say, "Democracy, majority rule." And I thought, you
Yeah.
mean like if the more you guys, want peace?
This guy dead.
Yeah,
There's
yeah.
a majority. He's dead.
Yeah, or as
Yeah.
some people like to say, yeah, democracy, sure, that's 2 wolves and a sheep voting on what's for dinner.
Exactly.
So that's why we like the Bill of Rights. That's why we had all the checks and balances and
Right.
divided
Right.
powers built into the Constitution, because democracy per se is not necessarily a guarantee of your rights. My way of thinking of democracy is we all walk into a room with a table in it. We all take the contents of our wallets and throw it into the middle of the table, and we now argue about how to spend it. And I thought, we would not have had any arguments if the money was still in our pockets.
Yeah.
And if it's going to be, well, there's more of them, so they get to decide what to do with the other people's money,
Yeah.
I don't know if that's that attractive.
Yeah.
So it's democracy by itself is not attractive, but
Yeah.
we're hearing about threats to our democracy without anybody ever.
Well, it's
Defining
the,
their
it's
terms.
the idea that that it's always this is the end of January 6th.
Fox News can
Yeah.
January 6th deal is that it's the end of democracy. That they changed the voting laws in different states. They have different laws and who can vote and who can't vote, and not who can't vote. The requirements for you to show so you can vote. In other words, you
Show that
citizenship and so on.
you're qualified.
Yeah, and well, as I've always has said at the beginning of this show, is that democracy isn't a right; it's your obligation to do that. I know that you said you also have if you don't want to vote, and so that is your right too. But it's
That's
an
just
obligation.
boosting-
That it's a citizen of this country. You should vote. That's trying to get stepping on your toes there. But
Actually,
the bottom line is that it's a right that it's a responsibility to it. In certain countries, for example, Australia, you're fined if you don't vote. I don't know if they actually.
Australia's pretty oppressive. I bet they
Yeah.
do find them. But
Yeah.
I was going to say that I would like.
It's a very messy business and so on, but it ain't going away. We've been at it for 250 years, and we've gone through a lot of things: civil wars, insurrections. Actually, the Whiskey Rebellion to begin with in the very early history of this country.
Mhm.
It was in Washington's first term, effectively. I think that's what had happened.
Yes, it was.
And it goes on and on, and but it's always survived. I always like to tell when Lincoln was the Civil War, he won the election in 1860, but that was a very close, just strictly all the southern states could vote. But he was a plurality president. It wasn't a majority president.
Right.
In 1862, when the war wasn't going so well, he almost lost, even without the southern states being in the Union, because they weren't voting at that point. He almost lost his majority in the House of Representatives in 1862. When you have an election, and the same with Roosevelt in 1942. The war wasn't going too good in November of 1942. And he actually lost seats in what was the first time he had done that in all of the elections from 32 on to 42, 10 of them. He had actually kept his majority, and in some cases it was huge majorities and so on. But not in 42. 44, the war was going better. He got it back in and so on. So, but that we could have elections in situations like that,
Yeah, in fact, it's
and even today.
really impressive that we held the election in 1862 and in 1864, because this was literally a war going on our own soil,
Right.
and we still managed to hold elections.
Yeah.
I think that's,
Actually, the Confederates did too.
yeah, and, well, same tradition.
Yeah. Right.
Just because I don't have my pictures as well organized as I'd like, I'm just going to pop back to what I was talking about, the She-Hulk. This is the writer for the.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
It's the writer for the
Oh.
She-Hulk attorney at law.
Yeah.
And
She-Hulk. Okay.
Right. So that's as they say. You will experience the She-Hulk sounding like a 40-year-old progressive woman, and it's because she can't separate herself or her ideology from the characters that she's writing. And that, I shouldn't say you can't, but a lot of writers do not bother. So, and it's one of those things where I feel like if a character is, especially when a character is well established, then that character should be true to that. All right, example, I have followed since the 1960s a character called Daredevil, who had a Netflix series that was beautifully done, really, really well. Well, one of the things that one needs to know and finds out right away about Daredevil is his alter ego, Matt Murdock. Matt Murdock is Catholic, and it informs a lot of his choices. Now, I would...
This is the guy that writes it, in other words.
No, the Matt Murdock, the character.
Character, okay.
The character is Catholic, and he puts on his mask, and he's still Catholic.
Yeah.
So what I'm going with here is that I would not want later writers to simply say, well, I'm an atheist, and I hate the Irish, so he's going to be an atheist and he's going to be self-hating because he's Irish.
Yeah.
I said, no, write some other character if that's the way you feel,
Yeah.
but be true to, what you're dealing with in a lot of cases, characters with history and characters with a fandom that really is very fond of them. So it's really kind of stamping all over them when you whip them around too much. Now, I don't think that she's done it that badly, aside from the fact that she probably is just annoying, like so many modern people. I'm sure that after all, the She-Hulk character certainly always stood up for herself.
Yeah.
She stood up for herself reasonably well when she was a small, mousy woman, and she certainly stood up for herself very well when she was a 6.5 foot tall behemoth. So.
Yeah. But again, the idea that obviously these people are going to see things in a different way, and that's going to be reflected in the character that they create. They'll create a character that's totally different. Lost your mic.
Apparently, I have.
And mine fell off too.
I want everyone to hear me for my beautiful and dulcet tones. Or failing that, my own tones.
At any rate, that's what happens with a lot of even history books. They'll do things that what they feel certain characters, very famous Teddy Roosevelt and Abraham Lincoln and so on. They're gonna reflect that their attitude, and that's what they're doing, of course, with characters even now with this, the Civil War and the Confederates and so on and so forth. Now Washington is not the hero that he used to be in our history and so on, because he had slaves and other things and so on, and other characters too, that are real people too.
Sure.
That have had, they've published their autobiographies and so on, but it reflects kind of what they think happened, basically.
Yeah. Well, I've always known that Washington was a slave owner, and of course that is not what I like about Washington.
The first 6 presidents of the United States, only 2 of them, actually only one of them, first 5 presidents of the United States, only one of them did not own slaves.
Mm-hmm. Now, where I'm going with this is just that there were probably 100,000 slaveholders in the United States, quite possibly more at the time. What's interesting to me about Washington is not that he held slaves, but that he brought the revolution, and successfully.
Right.
Or that.
And when he died, he freed his slaves too, by the way.
Right.
Jefferson didn't.
Yes, and he obviously should have. But on the other hand, Jefferson wrote the Declaration of Independence. Jefferson was the author of the Statute on Religious Liberty for Virginia. Jefferson founded the University of Virginia.
Right.
He was prouder.
Also founded the Library of Congress too, by the way.
Yes, and he was prouder of those accomplishments than he was of his presidency.
Yeah.
So-
it is a very complicated thing. You know, they had the 2/3 of a person. They were represented in our Constitution.
3/5.
3/5. Okay, 3/5. I gave them a little more than they were supposed to get, I guess. Anyway, they did that, and and they owned slaves and so on. But that wasn't quite as simple as you might make
No.
it sound, and so on.
No.
And by the way, they didn't have cotton, and cotton wasn't the generator of getting the slaves and so on. It was tobacco. That's what they cultivated in that. It had a lot to do with cotton, though. The slave, that we were the primary, by a long shot, maybe the only country that produced cotton, and the British. And that's another
Textile
part of the
mills.
world. Oh, they wanted the South to. There's a lot of people that were. It didn't come down to recognizing Confederacy at some point. They wanted to be recognized by Britain, which would have been a real problem for Lincoln at that point. But anyway, it isn't quite as simple as people might think it is.
No.
And again, his history is full of those little anachronisms. Well, this is the way it was, and so on. No, there was a lot of little side stories and a lot of other facts and so on that make it play. It isn't quite as simple as it sounds.
Well, as a teenager, I felt great affront at the idea that that blacks were counted as 3/5 of a person, and I had to grow to adulthood and read my history before I realized that was an anti-slavery measure. It was to reduce the clout in the Congress
Yeah,
of,
true. Yeah, right.
of the
Okay.
slave states.
Yeah.
If they could have counted all of the slaves as whole people instead of 3/5 for
But
the
they couldn't vote. Yeah.
for the purposes of apportionment,
Yeah, right.
which meaning how many
People.
how many congressmen do you get in the House of Representatives?
Yeah.
So that the 3/5
Yeah.
rule reduced the representation of the southern states,
Yeah.
and all to the good. So that wasn't a
They debated that in the Constitutional Convention that produced the Constitution to begin with. They debated that back and forth. I think it was more of a compromise. I would
Yes.
suppose it was abolitionists that they were big in those days, which they got to be, just a few years later. But there was not a lot of people there were no slaves essentially. No, I don't know that that's actually fact though. There again is one of those things that you have to look up. Was there any kind of slavery in Massachusetts and Maine and New England?
it wasn't zero. It was close to zero.
Right. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Anyway,
Yeah,
got a few
as we know
more
that-
minutes here. You want to do this or what?
I was going to.
Get off the
that-
subject here, ladies and gentlemen, but
Let us at least note.
that's our show. We can do what we want. Go ahead.
Let us note that there are slaves today. I said there are people enslaved today.
Yeah.
So some of them probably here, but certainly we know of other countries where slavery just plain old isn't quite abolished.
Yeah, that's
So-
that's what crossing the border. A lot of these women, the young women, are really slaves, sex slaves. They're brought over here to perform. Go ahead.
At any rate, hope we all know the expression deep state. Some people would probably just call it the bureaucracy, but it's, the elections come and go, but the bureaucrats and the bureaucracy stays.
Yeah.
And so deep state is
Yeah, 4 minutes.
I'm going to have to move along. So let's go to the, sometimes as I'm looking for some of the best
And
stuff.
a little more
lighthearted
thing here. Go
Yeah.
ahead.
Lightheartedly,
These are badges.
These are badges for the grammar police.
Okay.
I'm sure we've all encountered them online because they're correcting us.
Yeah, right.
So
I do it myself.
these are three of
Make
the
errors and correct.
three of the divisions of the grammar police. We have the exclamation point disposal squad, because some people use way the heck too many exclamation points. We have the grammar police special apostrophe unit to make sure that you know the difference between its and its. And I'm especially fond of the grammar police unnecessary quotation unit, as we say, honor, integrity, and service. Chief Inspector.
Chief Inspector.
And as they pull you over, and that's grammar police, diploma and library card, please. And this is the patch that I think I'd like. Grammar Police.
Yeah.
To correct and serve.
We got about 3 minutes here, and I want to just say a couple things here.
By all means.
I was going to say it and so on and so forth. This fascism you hear all the time and so on. And Republicans call the Democrats that, and the reverse.
yeah.
And everybody else, everything is fascist.
But Joe Biden called us, the Republicans,
semi-fascist, which is the same.
That was the MAGA Republicans were semi-fascist.
Semi-fascist, right. Anyway, it means 74 million of us are fascists, I guess. Fascism is not a political philosophy or a political system of any kind. It was invented, actually, it's a fascist comes from an Italian term, Mussolini, and of course Hitler was also identified. And basically, that's the fascism it had. We are a long ways from being fascists on either side of the aisle, Republicans, Democrats, and everything in between, and so on. And we're a long ways from being a Hitler. And Mussolini, I won't say so bad, but certainly what he brought onto the world, 100 million people died and so on and so forth. We're a long ways from that. And mainly because we have elections. You want to see an insurrection? That's what it is. It's an election. That's what every election we have in this country is an insurrection, is a revolution. There are very few that you can say exactly what's going to happen. For example, now the House is going to take the Republicans will take the House, and the Democrats will we'll see what happens and so on. But that's the system we operate under, and you'll have an opportunity to change your mind in 2 years if you don't like what's going on. For example, what's Biden been doing? He was elected president, big deal by a big majority, and of course the Electoral College. But 7 million by 7 million votes, something like that. But it changes. I always like to tell people about. They only got a minute here, so I always like to. I guess I don't even have any time to do that. That's pretty much done.
Talk faster.
Talk faster. Okay. Obama was elected, and then he lost the House in the second election. But then he won the next election. So the lawyers, the voters. Lawyers too. Voters had changed their mind. They make up their mind. They're always right, but they do get to change their mind. I'm done. Anyway, thank you very much, Rob. Interesting little things. I didn't know you were going to show some of this stuff and so on. So
well, I could have showed far more.
Yeah.
But
anyway,
it would be wrong.
Thank you very much, and we'll see you again. Believe it or not, we're going to be on TV again.